Hi everyone, it's Becca from Scratch Magazine here. I hope you're well and looking forward to the weekend. Now I'm super excited today that I'm going to be joined by HD Pro brand ambassador and absolutely amazing nail artist, Gemma Dawson. And she's very kindly created an amazing Valentine's design for us. It's a 3D teddy bear, so cute and bound to be a hit with clients. And she'll be demoing that for us today. So we hope you'll enjoy, and we really hope you'll try this yourself. And if you do, please make sure to tag Scratch and Gemma and use hashtag #ShowScratch if you do. And of course, this will be quite a long live, but if you need to pop off for any reason, don't worry, we will be saving this to our Instagram TV and YouTube and website to watch back later. So I'll try add Gemma in now and we can get started. And of course, if you have any questions throughout, just let me know and I'll ask her. Okay, I'm accepting you now. Hello. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. It's so nice.
I'm not used to this forward facing. I'm usually hiding.
Oh, well, you look great. And we're
thank you.
So excited for this. So tell us a little bit about the design then.
Okay, so basically, I love doing a little bit of 3D. Like, I've just really got into it over the last sort of year. And I just think, especially for clients in salon, I don't personally take on clients at the moment, but I know from friends who do that they love a little bit of something extra. And it's actually quite quick. I think people think that it's going to take a really long time. It really doesn't. Obviously, I started off with mostly detailed art on my page, and the time you can spend on one character is like maybe 20 times the amount of time that this would take. So yeah, I love it. Really quick, exciting, bit of Valentine's, bit cute.
I mean, I've seen it. It's absolutely gorgeous. But
thank you.
Else to see it. So whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'll flip you around. I don't know if you might see my ceiling because I've not done this before.
Don't worry at all.
Okay, no problem. Right, let me see if I can take this out and do it properly. She says as she wrecks the entire desk.
This is always
it's a new holder as well, so I probably picked the wrong time to try that out. There, that should work. If I flip you round. There. Let's attach you. Okay.
Let me turn my camera off, then everyone can focus on live.
Okay. Is that clear enough? I think that's close enough, isn't it?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Perfect. If it's not, or I go off screen or anything, just shout at me and I'll move back.
Yeah, I will do.
So do you want me to just get started, or?
Yeah, whenever you're excited.
Okay, cool. So basically what I'm going to be using for these is the HD Pro Plastilin Gel, which is basically just a 3D gel. It's really easy to work with. So if you aren't acrylic trained and you just fancy a bit of 3D and you thought, oh, I couldn't do that because I don't have my acrylic qualification, don't worry. It's all pre-mixed, really, really easy to use. And you just use a little spatula or a dotting tool and then start moving it around. It's really easy. So that's what I'm going to be using today. I thought I would do a white background, a bit sparkly, and then I'm going to do a pink teddy because of Valentine's. And then we'll go from there, I guess. So that's what they should look like.
Oh, they will. Well, I'm sure.
Oh, fingers crossed. So I always start with the head of the teddy first. And obviously, dependent on the size of nail you're working with, I appreciate this is a big tip, but because I'm trying to make sure you can see what I'm doing, I've picked quite a big size. But I always try and keep the teddy bear head in the top third, which gives me enough room for his ears as well. And then the heart, which is quite the focal point. And then still his little paws at the bottom so that he can sort of cuddle it. So I'm going to start with his head. And like I say, I just use a dotting tool to get this out. People do use spatulas and stuff, but I find, especially when you're working with something quite small, like his eyes later on, it's actually really easy to pick it up with the dotting tool. Yeah. So I just grab some. And then also, obviously, depends how 3D you want it. If you want a flatter, but still bit raised, you obviously would use a lot less than I am here. And then I just wet my brush a little bit with some prep solution and then take off the excess, and that just enables me to sort of pat it into shape without it sticking. because it can be quite sticky.
I love that you've chosen pink for the teddy bear. So cute.
Oh, I do love a bit of pink, I must confess. So I'm just trying to keep him roughly circular, but you don't have to be too precious about it because we want him to have quite chubby cheeks anyway. So if he sort of deviates, it doesn't matter too much.
And so you were saying that obviously you're using a big tip there, but do you think this would work for a smaller nail?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if anything, it might even be a bit easier because where it's obviously really basically just made up of a big circle, 2 little circles, and then his nose. I think the smaller it is, the less detail you'd almost have to worry about for it to look cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could absolutely size it down. It really is just the circle for his head, and once you've got his ears on, depending on what size crystal you use. I mean, I'm using a bigger one because of the size of the tip, so I'm using a 6mm Swarovski, but you could get a tiny one and just make him tiny little head at the top and little paws poking around. I think that would still look super cute.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to start with the big circle. I'm going to put his ears on as well because I'm a bit naughty. I'm used to just working with wet gel the whole time and then quickly curing it at the end, but I'll be good. So I'm going to stick his ears on. I think we're going to go for sort of slightly to the side, so he's like a well-loved teddy bear today.
Oh.
If I can get it to stick, that is. She says the dotting tool was a good idea. There. So again, I'm just slightly wetting my brush. I think you could use isopropyl alcohol or just that sort of, you know, slip solution so that you're not going to make your gel too sticky. And it's just pat, pat, pat. Sorry.
It's crazy quick it like comes together already.
That's the thing, and that's what I loved about this one, because I thought, what can I do on here that everyone can have a go at and you'd think would probably take more time, but actually isn't that bad. So I'm just using the tip of my brush to push in his ears a bit, and you see it gives you that kind of curved inner ear. Yeah. And I don't feel like there's quite enough gel on the other side to do that, so I'm just going to add a tiny bit more. But when you play around with it yourself, obviously you'll get to know roughly how much you need for how you want it to look and all that kind of stuff.
And I definitely agree with you that 3D designs are definitely becoming more popular of late.
Yeah, I mean, I love 3D, and I literally, the first time I tried it, I think was last Halloween. I got some of this gel and I just went to town with some body parts and some skeletons, and it was so fun. It's just such good fun.
Yeah. Oh, I've just had someone ask, is there a big range of colours of the 3D gel?
Yes. So I believe, now off the top of my head, I know that I have at least 10, but you can mix them as well. So if you get your white and your blue, you can make light blue or light green, then you can sort of add the green with, I don't know, to get a totally different shade like teal. I think it's a teal green anyway, but you know what I mean. You can sort of mix them together and add to them. So yeah, there's lots and lots of colours to choose from already pre-mixed if you don't want to mix them. But you can mix them as well, so fully customizable. And you could, I imagine, mix them in advance because they're in these little airtight pots anyway. So if you've got an old pot and you'd cleaned it out and you mixed the pink and the white to make a baby pink, then you're good to go as soon as you know. So yeah, definitely. Because I didn't know it even existed, you know, like 3D gel. I just figured that because I wasn't doing acrylic, that I wouldn't be able to do anything 3D. Yeah. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I didn't even realise, because I know a lot of people use it for like flowers and stuff like that, don't they? And there's me making a skeleton out of it. But either way, it's good fun.
And so someone said, can you create this effect with acrylic as well?
100%. If anything, it would probably be quicker. Because the gel is lovely to use. But in a minute, what I'm gonna do now I've got his ears and his face on, is indent for his eyes and then indent for his eyebrows. So he sort of has these like old teddy bear eyebrows. And what you'll see is, unless I quickly put that in the lamp, it will bounce back because it's gel. So with acrylic, obviously you wouldn't get that so much. I'm going to just use my brush to put his eyes on just quickly, so that we've got like a space where we know that they're going to go at the next stage. I think that's about right. And then just sort of push the belly of my brush down to make him these little brows. But yeah, you could absolutely do it with acrylic with no bother at all. And I do honestly think it would be quicker.
So someone said, where can I buy this? So it's hazeldixonnails.com. I'll just
That's right, yeah.
below as well for anyone.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So there we go. So we've got his eye sockets in. Don't worry too much if they do start filling back in, because we can play around with that later on. And if you want to, obviously you could do a dotting tool if you find that easier. But yeah, so I'm going to cure that now, and then we'll move on to the next bit. It takes a minute to cure that, so. I'm a bit of a chatter, so if I wasn't talking, this would be a lot quicker.
Do you know what? Love that though.
I think if I paused for breath, I might be more streamlined to show you how quick it can be done in salon. But yeah, I think for something like Valentine's Day, like obviously I appreciate people don't always want massive 3D charms and things like that, but like for Valentine's Day, if you've got like a night out or you're doing something special, I think it's quite sweet. And like I say, you could totally size it down so it was just like a tiny little bear. I think that would look really cute.
Absolutely. I mean, if there's a time to go all out, I feel like it's Valentine's.
Yeah, 100%. Why not?
Oh, we've also had someone say, what brush were you using?
So I'm using this one. It's a HD Pro 3D art brush, and it's lovely because it's tapered at the end. So you can sort of poke the eye holes in and stuff, but it's got a lovely belly. So if you want to push into that gel and make a new shape, like I'm going to in a minute with these cheeks, it allows you to do that as well. And if you do want to work on a smaller version, they actually do a mini 3D art. So if you were thinking in salon, but on a smaller nail, you can use exactly the same brush, but it's just a smaller version.
Amazing.
So, right, I'm just going to grab some gel for his cheeks. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can either add like an oval shape and then sort of sculpt into it, or you can add 2 circles and then join them together. So I'm going to do the 2 circles because I want him to have really chunky cheeks. But again, it's kind of have a play around with it and see what sort of effect your client wants and the sort of vibe you're going for, I guess. I'm going to pop some on there.
And so I've also had someone say, I've just noticed, they've put, is the 3D gel good over gel polish? Like, do you prefer it to gel polish them?
So in terms of just painting it on, do they mean, or like putting it on top of gel polish?
I'm guessing they mean that.
Yeah, so it's basically 3D gel is only for like enhancements, so you could only use it on top of your finished product anyway, but in terms of using it instead of painting, yes, I actually think this is easier, 100%, because half the work's done for you already. It's already the perfect consistency. You're not worrying about going back in with details. If there's time at the end, I can hand paint him as well. We can add some tweaks to him, but you wouldn't need to for it to look the right sort of design if you were against time in the salon. So I would personally, for a salon client, pick this definitely.
It just looks so easy to work with.
Yeah, that's it. See already how he's got little cheeks. So all I've done is I've patted that from being a rough circle into sort of 2 teardrops almost, and then I'm just using the belly of the brush to push his cheeks out, because he's going to have a little chunky face, which I think is quite cute. I do say so myself. And I'm just pushing down there just to make sure there's a little slot for his nose. And then obviously if you want him to be a smiley teddy, you can curve those up a bit more at the edges like that. Or you could have like a little morose looking teddy, depending on how you were feeling that day.
If you want fancy Valentine's nails. Maybe.
Yeah, you could definitely do him in black and make him really miserable. Why not? I love the anti-Valentine's nails at the moment, actually. They're so cool. I wish I'd have thought of the set for those. Right, so I don't know how well you can see that, but if you can see now, he's got his 2 little cheeks. He actually has quite a big mouth, so I'm going to drag them down a bit more so they fill in that space. And then just push it where you want it. And it doesn't run. It's a lovely consistency. I think that's what makes it so easy.
Yeah.
And again, depending on the time you've got and the effect that you want, you can actually push some little indents in to make it look like he's got like whiskers or fluff on his face. and give him a bit of texture. So it's definitely a lot you can do with it, I think, that doesn't actually take as long as you would think that it would.
Yeah.
Right, so I'll stop playing around with him in a minute. I get a bit involved with his cheeks. Right, so there we go.
And someone said, could you make these in advance on the nail form and then adhere to the nail?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that you could definitely make like 3D charms out of it. In fact, I think I've just seen a video before I started this live of someone doing exactly that. And they just literally, they've, like you say, on a nail form, they've sized it and then they've just popped it off and stuck it into a little tray of all their nail charms to use going forward. So yeah, and they're really lightweight as well, because obviously it's not particularly heavy stuff. And
yeah,
so yeah, absolutely. And then I suppose you can take more time on it, and it's something individual that nobody else will have.
Definitely.
Right, I've just added a little bit more to that cheek because he wasn't quite as plump that side, and then that's it. Just blended that in a bit more. So I think that looks okay. You can see where his nose is going to go, I think, already.
Yeah.
So then it's up to you, really, depending on how confident you feel with the material. I'm going to attach the heart now before I cure that, because it's not going to go anywhere anyway. It doesn't run or anything. And obviously you can attach the heart with whatever you would normally, gel, resin. But I'm just going to use this because I've got it here, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of that there just to hold the heart on. And then pat it in. And then grab my crystal heart. And the reason I put this on now before obviously his arms and legs is because I want it to look like he's cuddling it. So it needs to be sort of a bit lower than the arms. And then when you're happy with that, you can just stick that in the lamp for a minute again. I think he's slowly starting to look like a teddy.
Oh, he definitely does. And that's cute, but...
Oh.
And so how long have you been a HC Pro ambassador?
So I started as an ambassador with Hazel, I think just after last Christmas, so just over a year. Yeah, I just love it. Like, they're so lovely. It's just a lovely team anyway, and Hazel's obviously amazing. Like, I'm a massive fangirl every time I message her. I'm just like, oh my god, incredible. But yeah, so it's just been great, and I love the products. So far there's nothing I've tried that I don't like. And I know that sometimes people think, oh, brand ambassador, can you really trust what they're saying? But honestly, I used her products for almost a year before I even became an ambassador, and I was only using them exclusively because of how amazing they were. The art gels are literally top tier amazing, and I've tried a lot of art gels, I'm sure you can imagine, with my characters. So I'm fully converted.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
Right, so that is properly attached now. That's not going anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do his eyes and his nose quickly before I move on to his arms. So I'm just using the black one, and again with a teeny tiny dotting tool, like literally the smallest amount, because you've got those little tiny holes but you don't want to overfill them. I'm just going to pop that into his eye. Obviously always better to add less and then go back in, and don't worry if it looks a bit messy, because you're going to pat it where you need it to be anyway. So just try and get it into those little slots as best you can, and then the same with his nose. I've left that little triangular space there for his nose, so just try and roll the gel off onto it.
It's so cute.
Oh, thank you. That's it. So you've got one eye and the other eye. And you could obviously like over accentuate his eyes if you wanted to make him sort of a bit more of a Disney bear. And then you can go in and add loads of like hand painting and give him sort of like, rather than just black eyes, like make them a bit brighter, or fleck of white or something, like a bit of highlight.
I feel like this is actually such a versatile design, isn't it?
I think there's a lot you can do with it, yeah, definitely. And I think depending on, like you say, if you were using it as a charm where you had the time to play with it, you could definitely get it exactly how you wanted it. But I think you could totally still do this in about half an hour in the salon once you'd practiced a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Because as I say, without talking, I reckon he'd be pretty much done by now. So I think that's looking okay. I don't know how well you can see that on there, but
that was fab.
so I'm just gonna pop his eyes in there and just check that he doesn't need any more added to his nose. No, I'm happy with that. So then it's up to you really. You can either cure at that point or leave it again and then add his arms and stuff in, but they'll be absolutely fine because you've put them into like a little divot anyway, so they're already in like a little gap. They won't go anywhere, so which is nice. And I guess the nice thing about it not being acrylic is that you don't have to worry about it drying out. It can take as long as it needs to, you know. So obviously I'm going back in and adding more and playing around with it, and
yeah, you can make sure you're completely happy.
Yeah, which I think is lovely. And that is one of like the big things. That's why I sort of always end up turning to gel. Like today I was like, oh, should I demo it in acrylic? And I'm like, no, I think gel is more versatile for this. If it was like the first time you were trying out 3D.
We've already had people say they're going to recreate this, which is really exciting.
Oh, that's so exciting. I'm so glad. I'm excited to see. So I've just made his eyes slightly bigger because why not? And then I'm going to start on his arms and legs, which again, like depending on how much time you have, you can sort of play around with them a bit more and stuff. I guess that's the sort of takeaway for me, is that you can sort of just tweak it until you're really happy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm happy with those. I'm not going to touch his eyes again because I know that's going to end in disaster. You know, you just feel like it's time to stop. So I'm just going to go back into that pink. And I'm just going to make sure that I lay it slightly onto the heart. And don't worry if it gets a little bit messy, because you can just wipe it off afterwards. It shouldn't leave a mark. And it's just basically the same principle again, where you wet your brush and then take the excess liquid off and then just pat, pat, pat. And then as and when you feel like you need to add more, you can. With this, I do usually go in twice because obviously you want the hand on and then you need to build the arm up. So I might go back in with some more product in a minute, but you can see he's sort of holding on for dear life.
And when you break it down, it's so simple, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like I said, I think there's a big like stigma about, oh, it's 3D, that must have taken ages. But really, I'm working on Shrek and Fiona at the moment, freehand, and I swear I have lost days of my life. I would much rather do this any day. And I'm getting a bit cheeky now, like on my page and stuff, people are saying, oh, when are you doing more characters? It's going to do something 3D. It's fun because you see the results straight away, you know, so like it's like instant gratification. Whereas with Shrek, he's proving to be quite a difficult friend.
Quite a specific shape of face and everything.
Yeah, and for a really narrow nail, it's not the one.
Just do one.
Yeah, Shrek's actually okay now, I think, but it's Fiona. She's not playing ball today, so we'll be having words with her later. So yeah, so I'm just going in under the arm there and sort of pushing it out to make that sort of a bit more curved with my brush. But like I say, if you do feel like you want to add another layer, you can just go on top. So I think quite happy with the size of his paws. Again, you can make them slightly bigger if you want him to have big chunky paws. You could add a thumb if you had time to do that. So definitely versatile. I'm going to cure that now because I'm worried I'm going to knock it, and then I'll come back in and do his feet.
And you know what I love as well? It's literally like a few products, like a brush. It's not a lot to do it, is it?
No, not at all. And that's the thing. I think like people just assume you're going to need like loads of product. Literally, that's why I wanted to do him predominantly in one colour, because I just felt like it would make it more doable for people. You can just go and get whatever colour you fancy him being, and then put him together, a black for his nose. And if you don't have the black, it's not a problem. You can paint that on afterwards. It's really easy. So all you need really is one colour. I would usually go for white, and then it's the easiest one to use art paint on top. But obviously with the art paint, it will take a bit longer than if you had the pre-mixed colour to use. But yeah, absolutely. You don't need lots. I know that people obviously have their favourite brushes, so you might already have a brush that you like to do that sort of thing. But yeah, definitely. And I would say, especially if you're planning on doing it on a client, definitely look at the mini 3D art brush if you're looking on there, because as I say, I'll grab it for you while I'm waiting for it to cure. It's a really lovely size for when you're working on a smaller space. You'll have to excuse me rummaging through my drawer. Here it is. So looks exactly the same, but he's a little bit smaller. Yeah. So if I compare him to the one I'm using now, it looks a bit worse for wear, poor guy. There. So it's not a massive difference, but I think if you're working on a smaller nail, sometimes it's handy to have the smaller brush.
Yeah.
Just to really get into those socket spaces with his eyes and stuff. Okay.
And so can you use this on top of a different brand? But I guess what we were saying earlier about just creating this and sticking it on to nail.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that wouldn't be an issue in terms of, like you say, making it as a 3D charm and then adding it on top of your service, but at that point it's already fully cured and just been attached by glue, I guess, isn't it? So,
and great for those that maybe want all the extra time to perfect this, and then
or who are maybe a little bit nervous about doing it on a client, because I imagine that is quite high pressure. I mean, like I say, I'm like a pretend nail tech. I don't take on any clients, so I just play around and don't have to worry about anybody moaning at me that I'm taking too long. Or so yeah, if you were a bit nervous or you just wanted to get used to, I mean, once you've done it a few times, I think you would be absolutely fine anyway. But I'm just adding a little bit more on his arm there so that it properly cuddles that heart. Just need a little bit more of the slip solution because he's getting a bit sticky. Okay.
Oh, he's come together so nicely.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
I was nervous he wouldn't play ball today. I thought, oh, is he even going to look like a teddy?
It could be any animal, it's fine.
Okay, so I think one side's got slightly more than the other, so I'm just going to even those up. But you can see now it looks like he's actually hugging it rather than just sort of holding on to it a little bit. Bit messy, but never mind.
Oh, that is great.
Just tuck that in around there. No one will see that anyway. There. And then it's just basically the same principle again with his feet. But like I say, if you had more time on his paws and stuff like that, you could add little toe pads and little feet pads. And if we have time, I will do that. You could add some more into his ears to give them a different colour, or you could just hand paint them. So you definitely have lots of options. Just curve that around so it looks like a bit of a shoulder. That's it. And then I'm just gonna, I'm trying not to spin him around too much, because I know obviously you can't really do that with a client, but just because I've put that in the wrong place. There.
It's amazing, because when you sent me the design, I thought, oh, you'd have to do the whole body and then stick the heart on, but actually it's really
So that's the thing. I mean, the Swarovski does make it a bit quicker even still, because like you say, it's already pre-made. The original one that I did send to you, I think I did the heart, didn't I? But because it's basically just a circle again, and you just push the edges out a bit and stick his hands on top, so it doesn't even need to be a perfect heart. But yeah, absolutely. And if you were doing a smaller nail, I've seen lots of those tiny little heart crystals that you could definitely supplement that big one for. So yeah, I think you could have him holding a star at Christmas. You could have him holding anything really, any of the charms that you might normally use. I know I've seen some recently, like little 3D flower charms that they sell. I thought that would be quite sweet if he was holding a little rose or.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, I want this on my nails now.
I think I've got a bit Teddy obsessed these last few days planning for this. So I was debating whether or not to do the crimson for his ear and feet pads. But I think white might look better. So I think I'm going to go in with that if we're still okay for time. Let me know if I'm running too late or anything.
You're doing great.
Okay, cool. So that's what it's looking like at the moment. I hope you can all see that okay. And then I'm just going to add his feet, and then we'll start adding the pads to his feet and stuff. If we've got time, I'll do some little toes. And I don't think he's going to need hand painting, because I think he looks good as he is, but we'll see how we go. So I'm just applying a little bit more than I have done at other times, because where the heart obviously has an underside, you don't want to run the risk that it sinks under and then you end up having to use loads more product. So I want to try and put enough on that it doesn't do that, and then we can just make it work. And I'm intentionally kind of narrowing the bottom part and making it kind of overlap the heart a little bit. Okay. So that's he's got a bit of red mixed into him there, but that's okay, because obviously I was having to play around last time. But again, if you sort of push into the center of that and kind of make like almost like a little divot, so that when we put the soul gel on, it will sink into that space.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to repeat that on the other side. And it won't matter that there's a bit of red mixed in there, because that'll be covered anyway.
I just love how much easier this is than you would have thought.
Oh, I'm glad. I was a bit worried. I was like, oh, is it going to go okay? Are people going to think that I'm sort of just talking about the obvious? But I think it's something like I definitely didn't know about up until about 6 months ago. I'd seen it, like, don't get me wrong, like Christmas before last, I'd seen some of like the cable knit designs and thought they were beautiful, but didn't have a clue how they'd done them or what they'd used. And then when I saw that Hazel did some, I was like, yes, I must have this now. So yeah, but there are lots of different ones you can try, I'm sure. I've seen a few other brands have brought them out and stuff, so depending on what you already use, you might already have some. Or there, so they're about right. I think this one could do a little bit more, but that will be sorted out when we put the soles in anyway. And then he's really kind of cuddling that. If you wanted to, you could indent his toes a little bit, so kind of push into the gel and make some little toes for his paws, which again, it's really quick and really easy, just like adds a little bit more detail.
Looks
okay. So I'm going to cure that, and then we'll add some white to his paws.
Amazing.
Put him in the lamp.
And so what other Valentine's designs have you created this year?
Well, I've been a bit naughty, to be honest. So I'm working on some competition work at the moment, so I haven't really been doing that much Valentine's Day content. I did some pop art nails, which I really enjoy. I love pop art. And I'm working on Shrek and Fiona. That's supposed to be kind of like an anti-Valentine's Day set, because it's still going to be lovey-dovey, but it's going to be green instead of the traditionals. And then I have got a few character sets that I wanted to try out. I wanted to do like a Simba and Nala set where they're looking at each other. So if I get time, hopefully some more. But as of yet, I've been a bit naughty and haven't done too much.
Oh, that's so exciting though.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Shrek and Fiona will be up sort of in the next couple of days. I am nearly finished. She just at the moment looks like she's half asleep, so we just need to fix her eye and then we'll be okay. Okay, so that's what we're working with at the moment. I'm going to grab my white because I do think white would look cute on him. So my white's really well loved. There's not lots left because I use it all the time. But you don't need lots for this anyway. So just grab like a small amount and then just lay it in the little indent that you've made. I'll probably only need half of this per paw. And then I'm also going to match the inside of his ears as well. I think I saw somebody this morning actually use this to make a 3D charm, but they made like a glazed donut. It was such a cute design, really, really nice. And then they cured it, took it off the form, put it in their like trinket tray thing, and then used it on their client.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was really cute. Perfect for a donut. And that would be super quick as well. So yeah, you can definitely do a lot with it. I think it just sort of gives people the option who don't currently use acrylic and don't feel that confident with nail art maybe. So I've just added the little white bits in. You could add individual toes, but where I've indented those, I'm going to leave them as they are. And then I'm just going to add some into his ear. So I can get some.
The 3D gel, you could start simple and kind of work up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So donut would be perfect to start with. You can get used to the consistency and stuff. When I did some nails with it for the first time, I was saying about Halloween and stuff. I did a spider, but obviously spiders being mainly circular were actually really easy to do with it. And it sort of got me into a place where I was like, okay, now I feel like I could make like a full-on skeleton. Let's try that. But as I say, you could also do it quite flat as well. So you're still getting a bit of 3D, but nothing too extreme if you're still not 100% sure about all of the stages. And these bits I'm adding now are totally optional. So if you didn't have time, I still think his ears look cute with just the little indent. So
Oh, I love it with the white.
I was hoping it would work. I've not tried it with the white before. So
Yeah,
will it work? Oh, good. Thank you. So I think I need to put slightly more on the other side, but that's fine because I've still got some on here. Just poke that in. And again, like depending on what you wanted to do, you could add it to his cheeks. So he had little white cheeks and a little pink face. Like it's really up to you, like where you want to take it. If like obviously like he's got quite a big mouth on this one, but if you wanted to, you could put a little bit of red there, so it looks like he's got a little bit of tongue that you can see, like just sort of cute little features, I guess.
I think it's great that you could be really quick with this, or if you wanted to spend a bit more time.
Yeah.
Good.
So I mean, I would say personally that is done unless you didn't like the colour or wanted to add some extra details. So once that's cured, that's completely set and you're finished. You can top coat it if you want it shiny. You can matte top coat it. I was tempted at one point for the live to add some flocking and make him furry, but I thought, no, let's start with just the gel. Gemma, control yourself. And see how we get on, because, you know, flocking is a whole new level of possible disaster on a live.
Oh, no. Amazing. That looks fab.
So there we go. So I mean, I'm quite pleased with him. I'm going to cure him now, but you can totally paint on top of them. This one here started pink, and then I went over him with some art gels, so to make him brown and pick out like his little ears and stuff. And then this guy, I don't know, because they're super shiny, I didn't think that out very well. I've actually gone in and added some highlight into his eye and his nose, so I'm going to add that to this guy as well, because I think we've got a little bit of time left, and then he will be finished.
And so as asked, what is flocking?
So flocking is like, I mean, I wish I knew more about it. It's basically like almost like fibers, you know, if you ever tried one of those fiber lash mascaras. I'll show you. Hang on, I'll grab it. It's just here. So it's like this. It's basically like a fibre material. If you can see, when they all break apart, they're like little tiny hairs. And if you were to go over him with, I don't know, say any kind of gel polish or normal nail varnish, or even like just top coat, and stick some of that onto him, he would look a bit furry.
Yeah.
And I will show you on, if I can find it, just while that's in the lamp. So this I did at Christmas, and I don't know if it will pick up, but can you see his ears are fluffy?
Oh,
and
yeah.
his chest is fluffy. That's
love-
what I mean by flocking.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so it's just something else you could try if you were making it as a charm and you fancied doing something a bit extra with it, so that he actually looked like a furry teddy bear. But yeah, totally your choice, whatever you fancy doing. I'm just going to grab my art gels and my very messy palette. I just need a little tiny bit of white for his eyes, and I'm just going to trade my brush out. So I'm just going to be going in with this one, which is the Precision Art brush, and it's kind of my all-rounder. It's really fine, but not quite as fine as a fine liner. So I like that one for sort of all-purpose stuff. And I'm just going to get a little bit of gel art paint and then just put a tiny little fleck of highlight in his eye. And then a tiny bit on his nose, I think, as well. And there we go. So I'm quite happy with that, I think.
That looks amazing. And we've had so many people
thank you.
saying that it looks fab.
Oh, thank you so much. That makes me feel loads better. I was telling my husband before I came on, I was like, oh, Lee, I don't know, I'm a bit nervous. What if they hate it? And he was like, just do it, you'll be fine. So I'm glad everyone liked him. But yeah, that's it. He's pretty easy to do once you break him down. And like I say, I did shiny top coat on these, so you could do matte on them if you wanted them to be a bit easier to see under the camera. I would recommend that if you're going to post them to Instagram, because getting a photo of these was not easy. I messaged you, I emailed you, didn't I, saying, oh, I don't know about this photo because I'm not sure it's really working. But yeah, so that's basically it.
Can you just remind everyone that may have joined a bit later the product used in the slide?
Yeah, so I've been using the HD Pro Plastilin gel, and that's just a pre-mixed 3D gel that you can use to make anything basically on top of your already ready base nail. So your normal service and everything like that would be done, and then this would just go on top. And yeah, that's what he's made out of. So I'm not going to top coat him on here because I think you can see him better. But you could obviously, there's a few little smudges on the heart, but if I just wipe that over, they should come off, and that shouldn't cause us any problem.
And the HD Pro products are available via hazelsdixonnails.com for anyone interested.
Then that's just totally come off now. So now it's all sparkly. And if you wanted to, you could just top coat the heart, I guess, and leave the rest, or like I say, matte top coat, or like we said earlier, maybe add some little fluffy bits. So yeah, that's him done.
Oh, that looks absolutely insane. It's so good.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. I'll put the camera back on.
You want me to flip you around? I'll try.
I mean, you've done a lot today.
I've exerted my mental abilities, I think, a bit. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah, I've done it. Phew.
Well, that was honestly so good. We've had so many people commenting saying how amazing that was.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, it's been great. And of course, if anyone does try this design or something like it, then please do tag both of us and use #ShowScratch.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing. I'd love to see everybody's versions.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me.
Amazing. And yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye,
See you later.
guys. Bye.